Yeah, actually, that's what they are gonna do. Okay, so they're gonna have them available, like I can do that book stuff. Okay, so today we're going to talk about something known as the remainder and the factor theorems. And so I had you look at this and tell me what you thought we needed to do in this, and you said we need to plug it in. And so the question is, where do you plug it in? You plug it in wherever what is? X. The x. So wherever I see x, I'm going to put 4. And so when I do that, very first thing what I need to do is I need to do the 4 to the 4th power and then take it times 3. I need to do the 4 to the cubed power, 3rd power, take that times -2. So let's go ahead and do that. So first of all, 4 to the 4th. 4 to the 4th is actually 256. And so if you take that times 3, you're going to get, what is it, 768? Okay, so now I'm going to take 4 cubed, which is 64. I'm going to take that times 2, which is 128. I'm going to take 5 times 4, which is 20, and I'm going to go ahead and add 2 to that. So when I do that, I find out that f of 4 is actually what? Six what? 662. Good. So now that is one way to evaluate that. We have something known as synthetic substitution, which is another way to evaluate a function. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do that exact same problem we just looked at, only we're going to use something known as synthetic substitution. So when I think about synthetic substitution, what does that sound like, or what does that resemble? Synthetic division, exactly right. And so this is the exact same thing, except for I'm just going to take the number 4. Okay? And so if you remember with synthetic division, what would I do first? I would what?
Change it to the opposite sign.
Okay, yeah, okay. And so in this case, I'm not going to change it to the opposite sign. I'm just going to leave it as 4. Okay, what would I do next?
You would line the numbers up.
Line the numbers up. So tell me what the numbers are going to be.
3, -2, 5,
0, 5,
0, 5, and 2.
I forgot
Now
the next
remember,
power. Ah, dang it.
remember, every power has to be accounted for. And so x to the 4th has a coefficient of 3. X cubed has a coefficient of 2. X squared has a coefficient of 0 because it's not there. X has a coefficient of 5, and that is your number 2. Yes?
So when we did the synthetic division,
Right.
so wouldn't you have to change the 4 to a negative?
Okay. When we did the division, you always take the opposite. When you're doing the synthetic substitution, you just take whatever number you use. Okay, so let's go through and do this. So with the synthetic division, what was the very first step? Bring down the 3. Good. What do I do now?
Times 4.
Yep. So I get 12.
Minus 2.
Yep.
10.
10.
Times 4.
Yep. Yep.
0. Times 4.
Yep.
Minus 5. I mean, plus 1, 6.
Yep.
Times 4.
165. What is 165 times 4?
Jeez.
600.
Ah, it's 660. And then what do I get?
662.
662. Wow, surprise, surprise. So this is another way you can evaluate it, and it's actually probably a little quicker, okay, than how we evaluated it first. So let's go ahead and look at another problem. I want you to do this, and I want you to enter in your answer on your expression. So
Times, or your -1.
okay, so again, I want you to go ahead and substitute that in, get an answer, and enter it in on your expressions. So use synthetic substitution. Okay, so I'm seeing that some of you have already entered it in. Yep.
Keep looking.
Oh.
It's already stopped.
Okay, so the answer is -6. Whoa, looks like a lot of us got +6. Let's double check and see what we did. So first of all, I've got -1, and then my coefficients 4, 0, 2, 1, 0, -1.
Oh, I forgot the other zero.
Oh, no, forgot that other 0.
Oh, that's 0.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, dang.
It
Rats.
doesn't have a coefficient.
Shoot. Shoot.
There's how you get -6.
I dropped the ball.
Now, a little check. You have a highest power of 5. Remember, we always have one more coefficient than our highest power. So if our highest power is 5, we're going to have 6 coefficients.
I wrote down that number wrong.
Okay, so anyway, now I'm going to give you a chance to redeem yourselves. Okay, let's go on this one. Prove to me that you can do this. There you go.
I will do this.
Ooh, you already got one.
Oh no.
That's what I got.
That's wrong. I'm gonna be in there now.
All right, enter your answers in. We'll see how you did. So that might be right.
I think Jordan's a little off. Put it in. I dare you. Jordan ended up with 79.
This isn't right.
That's a negative.
That wasn't right.
And the answer is 19. Nice job, much better. So, real quick again. You have a 3 outside, you should have 3, -6, 1, -11. Okay, very first step, bring down the 3. You have 9, 3, 9, 10, 30, and your answer, 19. Okay. All right, so now, the question is, where would we use synthetic substitution? Because obviously, I mean, it is the same as plugging a number in, and so we're going to actually use synthetic substitution a little bit now, okay, or synthetic division, because essentially they're the same thing. So the first thing we need to talk about is what is known as the factor theorem. The binomial x minus r is a factor of the polynomial if and only if p of r equals 0. Okay. So what that means is, it says, is x minus 5 a factor of, oops, I have an extra is in there, so just imagine it's not there.
Is.
Okay, I actually changed the wording so I could get it down to 2 lines. So is x minus 5 a factor of x cubed minus 7x squared plus 7x plus 15? So to determine if it's a factor, I'm going to do synthetic division. And if it's a factor, the remainder will be 0. So synthetic division, what number would go out here? What number would go out there? 5, because remember with the synthetic division, we always take the opposite of that number. Okay, so I'm going to list my coefficients, which are going to be 1, -7, 7, 15.
So in the synthetic substitution, we don't have to take the
In the
opposite?
synthetic substitution, you're going to notice there's one big difference. With the problems we looked at earlier, there was no x. Okay, if you have like an x minus or an x plus something, that's when you take the opposite. So let's go ahead and bring down my first number. If I bring down my first number, I get 1. So I want you to go ahead and determine, and I'm going to give you a chance to use your expressions. I want you to tell me yes or no. Is this a factor? Okay, so yes or no. Is this a factor? Is 5 a factor? Is 5 a factor? Yes or no? Remember, if it's a factor, your remainder is 0. So let's see. Is it a factor? Yes or no? Yes, good job. It is a factor. Now this one isn't coded because I just asked it on the fly. So real quick, if you went through and did that, you should have gotten Now, it says, if so, then find the other remaining factors of the polynomial. So now I need to think about this. If I was doing synthetic division, the next step, what I would do is I would go ahead and attach some variables. Remember, this is my remainder. Okay? Now I need to figure out what is the coefficient of what term. Well, if I start with an x cubed and I divide it by an x, what is this got to be the coefficient of? X squared. This is x, and this is your constant. So really, I'm left with 1x squared minus 2x minus 3. Now they want us to find the other remaining factors. So to find the other remaining factors, I'm going to want to factor this. Okay, so that's why we did the factoring last section. So to factor this, whenever it's a 1, remember I look at the last term. 2 factors of 3 that differ by 2, and you've already said they are 3 and 1. How do you get a negative 2 from 3 and 1? Negative 3, positive 1. So let's jump. What are our other 2 factors? Perfect. There you go. Okay, we're going to obviously look at another one of those before I let you go on your homework.
Neat.
Okay.
That's pretty neat.
So, is x minus 2 a factor of? Oops, once again I have that extra is. Okay, is x minus 2 a factor of? So I want you to go ahead right now and tell me if it's a factor. So go ahead, use your synthetic division. I'm going to go ahead and let you go on the expressions. So yes or no? Is x minus 2 a factor?
Mine keeps shutting off like really quick.
It will. Okay, you said it's yes. Let's go ahead and look real quick. So I have 2 going in. I have 1, negative 7, 4, 12. So if I bring those down, sure enough, I get a factor. So now I need to write this as a quadratic. So 1 is the coefficient of what?
X squared.
X squared. Negative 5 is the coefficient of x, and then my constant. So I have x squared minus 5x minus 6, and I need to factor this. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my last term. 2 factors of 6 that differ by 5. 6 and 1, good. 3 and 2 differ by 1, they don't differ by 5. So now how do you get a negative 5, negative 6, and positive 1? Nice job. 2 quantities. What do I get?
X minus 6, X plus 1.
X minus 6, x plus 1. There you go. Alrighty, so your assignment is found on page 355. I need you to go there right now. We are going to look at number 18. Okay, page 355, 8 through 26, the evens. We are going to look right now at number 18. Now on number 18, they tell you that x plus 2 is a factor. Okay? Oops, we'll skip here. They tell you that x plus 2 is a factor. And so they have x to the 4th. What comes next?
2x to the third.
Okay. Next.
Minus 8x
Okay.
Minus
plus,
16.
minus 16.
And they tell you that x plus 2 is a factor. So what we're going to go ahead and do, by the way, this is number 18. We're going to use synthetic division. So let's go ahead. What are we going to divide by?
Negative 2.
-2. So my coefficients are going to be 1,
2,
2, 0, -8, -16. The reason why we're looking at this is because every other one we looked at was an x cubed, not an x to the 4th. So I bring the 1 down, I get -2, 0, 0, 0, 0, -8, 16, and 0. So now, 1 is the coefficient of what term? X cubed. So then I go x squared, x, and what is -8? The constant. So really I end up having x cubed minus 8. And I need to find the other remaining factors. So I need to factor that. So we've got to think back to our lesson 5.4. This is the difference of cubes. What is cubed to give me x cubed? X. What is cubed to give me 8?
2.
2. So that's row 1. Do you remember what we did with row 2? Yep.
Squared.
Square them. So what do you get? X squared
4.
and 4. So now if you remember to factor this, I have a little parentheses and a big parentheses.
X.
Yep.
My x.
Minus.
I don't know.
You're right. X minus
4.
2. Because remember we always use row 1. Good job. The reason why we use minus is because it was minus to start with right up here. What will go first now?
X squared.
X squared.
X squared. Oh, it's
Plus.
Times 2.
Yep. 2x. Good. Plus.
Plus 4.
Nice job. There you go. So there you go. I got you started on 18. So what you need to do now is finish 8 through 26, the evens for tomorrow.